What's up everyone? KobaNarmani456 here today, presenting you all another news update on Sonic Boom for the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS. So today, have a lot to cover in this video as we have now finally gotten a glimpse of gameplay footage, screenshots, the 3DS version, and so much more. So I've got a lot to cover in this video, but I do want to go ahead and say, before I do actually start talking about, like the gameplay and all that stuff and what's going on, sadly I cannot show any gameplay in this video because turns out I actually requested permission to use some of GameXplain's footage for this video to kind of show you all this news update, but he actually informed me that Sega does not want these videos, any gameplay footage, used outside of interviews at all. So because of that, can't upload any gameplay footage, I can't put in this video, but I will have links to the interviews and previews in the description below so that you all can see that. Just trying to prevent any copyright trouble and whatnot, and also, it's good to support the original creator of the video, so, make sure to go check out the videos in the link description below. But anyway, okay, before I do actually talk about this game, one more thing, remember, this is a Sonic spin-off game, not a main series game. I'm gonna say this 2 more times. This is a spin-off game, not a main series game. And I'm gonna say it 1 more time. This is a spin-off game, not a main series game. The reason why I say this is because I know the Sonic fan base is. I've been around for a very, very long time, to where most people in the Sonic fan base, and in some ways it is understandable, but in some ways people are way too quick to judge. People don't like change at all. If it's not the same old, then they're not going to like it at all. And from what I've seen with some things, there are some things that I am a little bit skeptical about with this game, but I have not played this game at all. I have no hands-on experience just yet. I haven't tried it out. So I'm not going to say it's a bad game or it's a Dark Age game before I actually play it. I'm just hoping people will be open-minded in the comments below. And just remember, this is an entirely different game, because Iizuka actually said just about a month ago that Sonic Team right now is working on a game that's very similar to the previous Sonic games that we've played recently, like Sonic Colors, Sonic Generations, and those games like that. So, just remember, this is a spin-off game, so there's going to be new stuff. It's going to be an entirely different experience, but going to have, Sonic characters. But anyway, let's go and talk about the games, as we now have official names for both versions. The Wii U version is going to be called Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric, and the 3DS version is going to be called Sonic Boom: Shattered Crystal. Both versions are going to be entirely different, as Big Red Button has said that the story, the gameplay, everything about both versions is going to be different. As now, we finally have details on the 3DS version and also screenshots. Don't have any gameplay, sadly, because, like I said, GameXplain took down his video and whatnot showing off the gameplay. So if any gameplay footage shows up, I'll try to link it in the description below. But yeah, the 3DS version is more of a 2D side-scroller than anything. There are still 3D sections, and you're going to be having a lot of fast-paced action. But it's more about exploration than anything. Because one thing about it is that it's 2D, and there are different pathways. You're going to have to switch between the 4 characters that are playable. And those 4 characters, for the 3DS version only, are Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Sticks. Yes, Amy is not playable in this version because she is actually kidnapped by the new villain that I just mentioned just a few seconds ago, and his name is Lyric. That's the name of the title for the Wii U version, Rise of Lyric. But in Shattered Crystal, he's going to be the main villain, and he's going to kidnap Amy. So now Styx is actually a playable character in that version. And, yeah, each character has their own different strengths and weaknesses. As Sonic is like the fastest one, he can run all over the place, and then in mid-air, he can do a boost in the air to blast through different blocks or obstacles in the way. So Sonic's the fastest one, and he can like break through different things. Knuckles is more combat-oriented, where he can fly, he can fight, he can climb up walls, all that stuff. And then Tails has the ability to fly with different air drafts and go through shortcuts and whatnot. And then Styx the Badger, the newest character that was basically confirmed just a few days ago. She's going to be able to use her boomerang to activate switches and figure out puzzles and whatnot, which is pretty cool. I like that a lot. And like I said, you're going to have to switch between the characters, to get past different obstacles and, you know, figure out stuff. So it kind of seems like Sonic Heroes in that aspect. But yeah, one thing, this game is like, there's so much emphasis on exploration that they actually on the bottom screen have a Metroid-like map to where it'll let you know what areas you have explored, what areas you haven't explored. So I really do like that a lot. That's going to be great, and I'm really glad that they're putting a lot of emphasis on exploration in this game. I think it'll be really fun. And not only that, there are actually 2 different sections in this game besides just the exploration stages. There are going to be speed sections to where you're going to have to basically be running side to side, avoiding obstacles and all that stuff. And it does kind of seem automated, but it still looks pretty fun. Those are going to be 3D, and then there are going to be rival races to where you're going to have to face off against a rival or an opponent throughout a stage, and you have to make sure you time all your movements perfectly so that you can actually take down your opponent and beat them. Because if you slip up minorly, like, you're most likely going to lose. You're going to have to go on a different pathway, which could slow you down even more. So I like, with the 3DS version, I've really liked what I've seen and what I've heard. I think it's going to be really good, and I'm very optimistic about the 3DS version. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you all think about the 3DS version and the screenshots. I think it looks really good too. Like, it's a beautiful looking game. But now, let's go ahead and talk about the Wii U version, and this is where I'm a little bit skeptical. You know, I haven't had any hands-on gameplay with this game, so I can't say whether or not it's bad, and I'm very open to knowing that this is a spin-off game. So there are going to be some things that they added to this game to make it new, to make it different, because if they are just making another Sonic game, like Sonic Team, then what's the point entirely of having this spin-off? What's the point of having this series when it's going to be exactly like the Sonic Team games? That doesn't make sense. That's why I'm kind of polarized by how so many people are like, oh my god, you know, it's different, or it's slower and all that stuff. You know, it's going to be terrible. Even though it may not play like every other Sonic game we've played in the past, just because it's slow or just because it has some different ideas doesn't mean it's going to be bad. No, there've always been spin-off games in other series. Like, think about Hyrule Warriors. You know, it's gonna be it's gonna be a hack and slash and all that stuff. But you know, I'm still optimistic, even though I am a little bit skeptical about that because I've never been fond of Dynasty Warriors. I think it'll still be pretty decent. And then it is a spin-off game. It's not a main series Zelda game. That's basically how this game is. But anyway, all right. Just wanted to go ahead and say that so that you all can be a bit more open-minded when I do talk about this. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, so, you know, don't shy away from the comments at all. But anyway, so the Wii U version has 3 different sections. There are going to be exploration stages, there are going to be speed sections, and then there are going to be boss fights. Now, exploration stages look more beat-em-up brawler than, you know, speed. In fact, the characters are very slow in the exploration stages to where you're going to be focusing more on actually taking out enemies, going on different pathways, and figuring out puzzles than you are running all over the place. I think we should have known this from the trailers that we've seen before, especially the first one, where it shows Sonic kicking Amy using her hammer, you know, to kind of, you know, go all over the place, and Knuckles, you know, shimmying up, like, you know, ceilings, or not shimmying, but climbing up ceilings and walls and digging through the ground and whatnot. So, you know, if you're surprised by this, then I don't see why you would be, but I was a little bit surprised by how it does seem like there is a lot of emphasis on actually taking out enemies. In fact, because of that, they've decided that rings are actually going to be more like health, to where if you get hit, you're only going to lose a few rings, not all of your rings at once. Kind of like Sonic Unleashed, actually. But, yeah, but the cool thing about this is that you're going to have to switch between the characters with their different strengths in order to progress. So it kind of seems like, even though it does look like, you know, like a beat-em-up brawler like Sonic Unleashed or whatever, it looks different at the same time, to where it looks more like Sonic Heroes as well, because you're going to have to switch between characters because you may need Tails in order to fly over something, or you may need Knuckles to punch through a ginormous boulder, or you may need Amy to destroy enemies or swing up to a different higher pathway. You know, you're going to have to switch between the characters. But, yeah, so I don't know exactly how I feel about this. You know, I think it's going to be fun with the exploration and all that stuff and figuring out puzzles, but I've never really been fond of beat-em-up brawlers. You know, I didn't think the Werehog was terrible, but I can see why people got bored by it and why people hated it, you know. like, I can understand people's opinions on that. And I'm hoping that this game has more depth with it, to where even though it is a beat-em-up brawler, hopefully it doesn't get stale, hopefully it doesn't get, you know, repetitive or boring. I think Big Red Button is going to try and make sure that it actually has some fresh ways to actually take out enemies with different tactics. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's why I'm still optimistic. I don't think it's going to be like something, because honestly it looks kind of like a Jak and Daxter and a Ratchet and Clank game, which kind of makes sense because they worked on those series before in the past, so you know, that's why it kind of looks like that. And yeah, like I said, even though it isn't the fastest that I've seen so far with these different sections, you know, it's a spin-off game, so expect something new. Don't be surprised, you know, just be open-minded. But anyway, that was the first section of the game, the 1/3 of it. Now we have the speed sections. These look extremely fast-paced, and they actually look pretty fun, although they do look a bit automated at times. But I did hear that there are going to be some sections to where you're going to actually have to run away from a boss or something like that, and, you know, avoid his attacks and whatnot, and then you're going to actually face off against that boss in an arena, which is pretty cool. But yeah, apparently they run really smooth, you know, they're pretty fun, and if you mess up or whatever, you're going to be sent to another pathway that you're going to have to go through in order to, you know, like, keep on progressing. So I think that's going to be pretty cool, and looking forward to seeing what those are like. You know, they are looking forward to seeing, like, you know, how more of those look, because it's not as fast as like Sonic Generations or Sonic Unleashed, where you boost or whatever, but it is a lot faster paced than like Sonic Colors or Sonic Lost World, which is good. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the boss fights. Now the boss fights are actually going to be yeah, they're basically the same from what we've seen before, but you're going to have to use different tactics. Like the one that I saw in the Game Explain preview, you're going to have to actually take the missiles that Eggman fires at you in his robot and then fling them straight back at him to defeat him. And boss fights are now going to be a lot more cinematic and a lot more, have a lot more comedy in them, because Eggman seems a lot more animated than he's been in the past, to where, you know, even though Sonic Lost World and Sonic Colors made him, you know, a bit goofy, he seems even goofier now in this version. And the funny thing is that in the Wii U version of this game, he's actually not going to be the main villain, but he's going to be taking notes from Lyric, the main villain in this game, which is kind of interesting. You know, Eggman, the veteran, you know, the villain, the main villain for the Sonic series, is actually going to be taking notes from someone else. That's really crazy, especially since he has an IQ of 300. Like, what the heck? That's going to be interesting. But this game's supposed to lead into the Sonic Boom TV show, so because of that, he's going to learn some things from Lyric, and then we may see, you know, the effects of that in the TV show, which would be interesting. But yeah, the boss fights definitely look a lot more interesting, and I like the character interaction. It looks really good. From what I've heard, it's top-notch. So yeah, I think 2/3 of the game looks pretty good. You know, the exploration sections still kind of about, you know, I think it's going to be fun, you know, with the platforming and exploring around. I just really hope it doesn't get too repetitive with the beat-em-up sections of the game. But, you know, I have faith in Big Red Button. I think they know what they're doing. It seems like they've done games like this in the past anyway, so I don't think they're going to let us down. But it's probably going to be a different experience from any other Sonic game we've played in the past, so just keep that in mind. I gotta say though, graphically, both versions look really good. I did hear that there are some frame rate issues with the Wii U version, but it still looks really beautiful, like the Wii U version and the 3DS version, and definitely can't wait to see it with my own eyes when, you know, I can actually go to E3 in the next coming few days to try it out and see how it is for myself. But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up for this news update. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comments below. Give me your opinions, your thoughts on what you all think about this game. You know, are you a bit more open to it having different gameplay? Are you a bit upset? And what do you all think about it? I would just love to hear what you all have to say. And which version do you think looks more impressive, the 3DS version or the Wii U version? But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up, so thank you all again for watching. If you did enjoy this video and want to keep on seeing news updates, make sure to go ahead and hit that like button, as, you know, if you all enjoy it, I'll make sure to keep on doing these as much as I can. Anyway, thanks again. See you all, have a good day. Peace, Cobondermites!